My name's Ian Schmahmann. I'm the Technical Director of Wave Industries, and I want to talk to you this afternoon about the product, the HVACR 800, which we believe is a breakthrough in HVACR monitoring and control. So let me sort of get a show of hands from people here that if you were a customer using HVACR, would you like to have improved efficiencies of your equipment? Would you like to basically have reduced costs, reduced downtime? If you're a contractor, what does a contractor really want as a refrigeration contractor? You want a growing customer base, you want happy customers, you want increased revenue, you want to be able to reduce the amount of call-outs that you have, you want to reduce time wastage, and you want more profit per employee. And what about your customer? What does your customer want? Your customer wants to ensure compliance. He wants a safe workplace. He wants to drive his costs down. He wants increased efficiency of his plant, and he wants increased profit. And I think that's any CEO would want that. So the question, of course, is how are we going to help you achieve that in the HVACR industry? Really, what do you need to deliver? Basically, what we believe you need to deliver to your customer is real-time information on what's happening on his plant. You need to, nowadays, real-time information means that most customers already know about the Internet of Things. They're pretty advanced in what they expect. They want to be able to see information wherever they are in the world. They want to log into their plant and see what's happening. They expect that the values they see are going to be accurate. They need some automation. Nowadays, a lot of HVACR plant needs a PLC incorporated into it. And we'll see that this product has a PLC built into it as well. Of course, they want energy efficiency. Part of this talk is about energy efficiency. And you need to deliver that energy efficiency to them somehow. The customer would like to see measurable improvements. They want to be able to see before and after and see what's happening and how you've improved their plant. They want to be able to monitor their gas, and we had some mention earlier about systems that can shut down the feed valve, return valve, stop the compressor and start an exhaust fan. We can do that. And of course they want less downtime, or you need to deliver less downtime to your customer. How is the HVACR going to help you do that? Well, the HVACR has automatic alarm notification. So you'll receive an a text message, an email, could be converted to a text message if you want, but an email on your mobile phone telling you exactly what's wrong with an intelligent message. Right? When I say intelligent message, the message scripting language we have picks up, for example, the set points, picks up the time delays, picks up whether the alarm's a high or low alarm, picks up the channel name, etc. So it gives you a message that is understandable. You can do remote monitoring of the equipment. So if there's a call at 3 AM saying something has gone wrong, you don't need to rush over to the plant. You can log in on your tablet, like I've got here, and see exactly what's going on in the plant. Right? So lovely colours there, reds and blues and stuff, but it's all meaningful. You can do remote diagnosis, and you can even adjust anything you need to adjust on site. So if you needed to in fact even force a pump on or something like that, you can do that. If you wanted to change some set points, change some time delays, you can do that. We won't necessarily recommend that you change all the PID parameters. You may send it out of control, but you know, there certainly are things that you could do on remotely that can actually alleviate the situation on site. Also, you don't need to go and dig for information, because we have an automated reporting system called the scheduled reporting system. So you can set the thing up to report to you on a daily basis for all of your different sites. You can have a daily report which is emailed to you, includes the values that you want to have reported, and a graph of those as a JPEG. You can have a quick glance at the graph and see everything's okay, just file the information away. But it makes it a lot easier for you to know what's going on sites, and it sort of delivers the information rather than you having to go and seek it. And finally, you have the ability to prioritize, because if you can log into a site and you can see what's happening, you've got several problems on the go at one time, then you can make decisions about what needs to be dealt with first. Now, if we talk about the current HVAC in our industry, I mean, you guys are experts in this, so I don't need to go through this all with you, but just quickly, we understand the industry has large energy costs, that there's incentives to reduce energy usage, that we know all about the changing from R22 and the older HFCs to the more modern, supposedly better HFCs and the hydrocarbons and the natural gases, of course, either by retrofit or by new equipment. And we know about the gas safety concerns that people have. We've developed this product, the Hawkeye 800, which is in a box as you see there. It's mounted on the wall. It's a low-cost unit. When I talk low-cost, I mean it's about $2,500 for a complete unit with uninterruptible power supply included. It's got a 10.6-inch touch screen. It's got, and so you do all your, I mean, obviously the screen displays the values and you do all your adjustments through the screen as well. Very easy screens to set up. We've spent a lot of time and effort in making it very user-friendly. It's got 8 analog inputs, and it's got 4 derived inputs, and it's got 4 digital inputs. The 4 derived inputs are mathematical combinations of the various inputs. So, for example, you can have the average or the maximum, the minimum, the difference between 2 inputs. You can multiply inputs together. You can choose to do a heat calculation formula. You can do totalizing. You can do totalizing with cost. The unit can also accept other types of sensors. So we can plug in an AC current sensor, and so instead of using a 4 to 20 milliamp signal, you can have an AC current, for example. Each input, by the way, has got its own power supply for 2-wire transmitters, so you know it's a complete package. The inputs can accept 4 to 20 milliamps, 0 to 10 volts, 0 to 1 volt, thermistor directly, so pretty flexible in what they can do as a standard input. And then, of course, we have the option of plugging on cards to accept different sensors. The device has got 2 analog outputs and 8 relays. Now you can use those analog outputs to retransmit analog inputs. You can use them to retransmit derived inputs, or you can use them to do the control on things like the variable frequency drives. And it has built into it 4 PID controllers and 4 on-off controllers, which you can just invoke or leave the device just as a monitoring device, or you can invoke the PID control on any of the channels. As far as alarms are concerned, it provides you with 2 alarms per channel, so there's 24 alarms that can be set to high or low, and you've got adjustable time delays on those alarms, adjustable deadband, and each alarm, as I mentioned earlier, has got scripted messages, which are intelligent messages, which you can invoke on both the set and reset of that alarm. Those alarms can be automatically reset, manually reset. The manual reset requires an admin level. The alarms can have automatic acknowledgement, or they can have manual acknowledgement. And one of the big pluses of this device, and what a lot of people are excited about, is that we built in PLC logic into this device as well. Extremely easy to program. Even the most inexperienced person would learn how to program this device in half an hour. It's just so easy and so sort of intuitive. And you can set up quite complex sort of sequences with it. It's got the automatic and manual reporting, so you can seek information from it. In the past, it stores the information on board every second. You can run a report that extracts information from a particular time and date to another time and date. You've also got the automatic reporting, as I mentioned, where you can set the device to report a particular period of time on a daily basis, for example. And lastly, we've got the trend displays. So with one touch of the button here. I don't know if you can see this from the distance there, but can you see vaguely that? I mean, that's a trend display. You can see there I've just chosen the 20-minute display there. But I've got access at my fingertips there, last 1 hour, last 5 hours, last 10 hours, last 24, last 48 hours. And it looks kind of instantly because it's in RAM as well as in the database. So it's very quick responding on getting that information. And as I mentioned, of course, well, I've got remote access to a device here. Sorry, this device here is in the is in my workshop at the moment, so I can access it directly and I can control it as though I was in the workshop myself. So I can even do this with a mobile phone. But of course, you know, a tablet like this is probably easy on your fingers. And lastly, we include with the device, you can choose not to have it, but it's probably worthwhile to have it, an uninterruptible power supply, which continues the unit operating for at least 2 hours if you lose power. And that's full operation, including internet communications, the transmitters operating, the relays operating, etc. Just to give you a quick block diagram of the instrument there, you can see we have a 10.6-inch touch screen, which is where you do where you see your information, do all your settings. The uninterruptible power supply. You've got the measurement values, the measured values going into your 8 analog inputs and your 4 digital inputs. You've got your processing board there, which does your monitoring, your alarms, your calculations, your control, and your PLC. And then, of course, you've got your outputs, your analog outputs, and your 8 relay outputs going to your controlled elements. And then it has its internet communications, which you can then use to access the device using, we have a license with TeamViewer, so the device actually comes with a TeamViewer license, and you can download TeamViewer and use it legally with this device. So a few applications of the Hawkeye 800 would be simple monitoring. You can monitor temperature, pressure, power, water, CO2 emissions. You can use it for gas detection and shutdown, so we'll talk about that one in a little bit more detail. You can do compressor control with it, evaporator control, you can do superheat control, you can do defrost control, oil temperature control. I mean, these are just some of the applications. This is a general purpose device, can be used in any industry. Some of the easy ways to save energy for your client to help pay for the unit in a matter of a few months would be to change to variable frequency drives on maybe the compressor and the evaporator fans, anything else that you think might be appropriate. Change to propane gas, as I'm sure George would agree. The compressor, you can do compressor staging, adjustable freezer temperature, so maybe running the freezer at -16 instead of -22. It's going to save energy. You can use this unit to do alarms on freezer doors, for example, so using the digital inputs and the timer functions on the PLC. You can set it up so that if a door opens, then a timer will allow the door to be open for a certain period of time, and then it will send an email automatically to a supervisor to say that the device is, or that the door's been left open too long. You can use it for defrost management, perhaps terminate your defrost when the right temperatures are reached. You can use it, say, for cold room set point adjustments, so that you might run the cold room at 4 degrees at night and 2 degrees during the day. You can do all that with the unit. Why do VF drives dramatically reduce energy? Well, here's an example I took off some reference. There's a curve showing the startup current the current characteristic with speed versus the power consumption of a motor. And we can see from this application, then of course the high startup current is obviated by using a VF drive. But if the motor was run on-off at 60% of the time, it would use 6 kilowatt hours per hour. That comes to $14,200 per year. If you average that and set the motors running all the time, but at about 60% of its power rating, it's only 22% of the energy required to do that, which means you have a saving of about $9,000. So, you know, if the system cost 2.5 plus the cost of installation, let's call it 5,000. It's going to pay for itself in maybe 9 months. Quantify savings using the Hawkeye 800. Well, determine the performance criteria. Choose, so you know, are you going to monitor water usage? Are you going to monitor the energy used? Are you going to monitor the CO2 produced? Are you going to calculate running costs? All of these things can be handled by the unit directly. You'd have to choose your suitable sensors and transmitters. Make the changes, before making the changes, measure the parameters, get your baseline. You can make improvements on the plant and measure those parameters again, and you can calculate what your improvements are directly. Here's another example of how you can use the unit. I haven't seen a controller before that can do the superheat control as part of the package. So here's how I suggest you could do it. You can load into the unit the pressure versus temperature table for the particular refrigerant gas. That would show you up the temperature based upon pressure, the saturated temperature. You can subtract from the that saturated temperature from the actual temperature and get the difference, which is your superheated temperature. You can use a derived formula number 1 to calculate that difference. You set up the PID controller on the derived input number 1, and you couple the thermal expansion valve to that signal. And then on that derived input you can also monitor your saturation alarms, or you can have saturation alarms which, you know, if the temperature difference drops too much, also drops too small, then you can raise alarms on that. So I mean, there's fully complete sort of superheat control there. As we mentioned earlier, the Hawkeye 800 can be used for gas monitoring and shutdown. So you can use analog input type sensors and put them on the analog inputs. You could use trip modules and use the digital inputs to operate those. So your set and reset points could be set by an external module. But equally well, you can do it on the 4 to 20 milliamp signal coming in. So the gas detection would be by infrared sensor, semiconductor sensor, or heated wire bridge. Typically, the semiconductor is for your HFCs, and the hydrocarbons work quite well with the heated wire bridge. The device, you'd use the PLC sequencing, set up a sequence so that if you detect gas, you'll close the feed valve, subsequently close the return valve after some pump down, shut down the compressor, start the exhaust fan if appropriate. You'll also be able to raise the siren alert with the device. The siren alert can sort of be cancelled by a suitable operator using the push buttons on the screen. And of course you can have a safety lockout, which can only be reset by somebody of administrator level, so that the system can't restart until somebody has confirmed that the gas has been cleared. The advantage of the Hawkeye are that it's a universal, easily affordable solution. Energy savers will quickly pay for the investment by your customer. It's easy to install and operate. We've taken a great deal of care and in making, for example, terminals, unpluggable terminals. There's plenty of space inside the unit. I don't know if you noticed when I showed the picture of it, that it's got 4 entry points for conduits built into it, so you don't need to drill any holes. Just get the appropriate conduits and press fit them into the bottom of the enclosure and run your wires through those. Much easier to install. It will help you create that stronger relationship between the contractor and the customer, because the customer knows that you know what's happening, and you've got information to communicate on. The information is visible for both the contractor and the customer. Both can use the information. It effectively can reduce your time on site because of the remote diagnosis capability. We believe it will help increase your profit because you can charge for repairing things without having to rush out to site, and hopefully it will grow your customer base as well. So we hope that you adopt this product. Thank you very much.